What golf clubs have I been using this season? Let's run through my 2025 What's in the Bag. So this week I'm playing in the Rose Ladies Open, which is an event on the LET Access Tour, and that's the feeder tour for the Ladies European Tour. So I thought I'd just run you through my What's in the Bag and what clubs I've got in play for this week, and also just like the other bits and bobs that I keep in my bag for when I'm out in tournament play, and the things I use to kind of help me warm up or get ready for the round. So we'll start at the bottom of the bag, maybe counterintuitively, but we'll start with putter because it's probably my favourite club, definitely in terms of aesthetics as well. So I actually have a Ping PLD custom putter, and this was a really cool experience. I got to go down to their fitting centre at Loughborough University. They have like a research centre where they do a lot of research into their equipment, but also they have a big fitting centre there specifically for putting. So they have a movable green, they have overhead tracking cameras, loads of cool technology. So I went down to do the PLD custom fitting, and you can basically pick from any PLD, you can have any sightline on it, obviously any shaft combination, any grip. You can also have it custom designed. So on the sole of this I've got my name on the bottom, the little ping man, a few little emojis that I liked, and also my dog's name with some cute paw prints. So aesthetics 10 out of 10 for this, and also all the little detailing I've got in pink, which I like. Now this is the DS72 model, so you might have seen Victor Hovland use this on tour. I really like it, but what was very different from this fitting was, because I got to go on a movable floor and hit loads of different directions of putts, it actually showed up that if I have lines on the top of the putter, I don't aim the putter as well, which is a little bit counterintuitive. So I actually have a putter which is completely blank on top, no sight lines at all, and then I use a line on my ball to line up. So it's my putter, really like that. Got a black shaft in it so it looks nice, and obviously black and pink on the grip. I think the croc print putter cover is pretty nice too. Okay, next up, wedges. I carry 3 wedges in my set, and they're all the same model, so they're the Ping S159s. I have 3 different lofts in these, obviously 58, 54, and then also 48, which some people think is a little weird because it's obviously very close to pitching wedge loft, but I like it because I feel like I can hit more like half shots, 3/4 shots with it, and I don't like having to go full out at a gap wedge, so I feel like having it near my pitching wedge is nicer. I've sometimes found if I've had a 50 degree in that spot, there's too much difference between that and my pitching wedge, and I end up with a little bit of a gap. In the 54 and the 58, we've got just the S grind, which is pretty standard, pretty full sole, and then 12 degrees of bounce. So for me, I find if I have more bounce in those kind of longer wedges, which I'm hitting more full shots with, it brings the flight down a little bit, which really helps, especially if you're in windy conditions. Generally allows me to get a little bit more spin as well. Then in my 58, which is a bit more versatile, I'm going to use it around the green a lot more. I've got a H grind, so it's a little bit more cambered off in both the heel and the toe, and then this just has 8 degrees of bounce, so I can do a little bit more with this, manipulate the face a lot more. Then in all 3 of these I've got the KBS Tour shaft, and that's 120 grams stiff. We've also just got the Golf Pride Tour Velvet grip on here, in an undersize because I've got small hands. Okay, next up, irons. These are also Ping. I'm not sponsored by Ping anywhere. These are just the clubs that I like the most at the moment and I feel like perform the best for me. I have had 2 other iron fittings recently with Titleist into the T100s and with TaylorMade into the P7 CBs. They're both really nice. We're experimenting with some different graphite shafts in them, but I haven't had time, with just being busy, to test them enough and get my distances right to feel like I could play in a tournament with them yet. And I've had these in the bag all year and I'm just used to them, so it felt comfortable to use them this week. But I do need to do a head-to-head with kind of those 3 models and see which I think is going to be the best going forward. I love that being like shaft selection as well, because I've got a bit of a shoulder injury and my speed's gone down a little bit, so maybe it's time for graphite, but we will see. I do really love these irons and I really like the consistency of them. So in these I've got the Dynamic Gold S300 mid 100 grams stiff, same grips as we had with the wedges, and these are the Blueprint S's, so I really like these because they're a really compact head and to me they look great behind the golf ball. Like there's pretty much no offset at all, and actually weirdly I hit these just as far as any of the bigger, like more stronger lofted Ping clubs. I love the way they go through the turf. I feel like they have really good control and I just enjoy the consistency of them. For me, like my front to back dispersion's really good with these. I have these in orange dots, so they're too flat, but they're just like standard men's length. So in this we run up from pitching wedge all the way up to 4-iron. The 4-iron is pretty small, I'm not gonna lie. I think it would probably give some people nightmares, but I really like that. I do sometimes carry a 7 wood, but I've not got it in this week just because it's been quite windy, so I don't really think that's the play. And I like to have 4-iron as a more like safe off the tee option. I think it's just a little bit more consistent to have something that flies lower, especially when it's windy. Okay, fairway woods. I've currently got a 5 wood and a 3 wood in the bag. So these are both the same model. They're not ping, they're tailor-made. So these are the QI 35 fairway woods. The 3 is actually in a higher lofted model, so it's 16.5, and that's just because when I tested this, it went so far that I didn't actually need the full 15-degree head, and using this model I could get a little bit of launch, extra height, which means when I'm hitting it into par 5s I can stop it soft on the green, which is more what I use this for really than off the tee. So we have the UST Mamiya Pro Force shaft in this, 70 grams stiff. This shaft is so good. I literally hit one shot with it at my fitting and I was like, yep, that's it. Like, I'm putting them in play. It's so easy to launch. You know, sometimes you get a fairway wood and you put it down and you're like, oh, like I could top this. Like, I don't really like this. It just gives you that little bit of extra like kick and release at the bottom of the shot and makes it really easy to launch. So I've been absolutely loving these. If anything, I can probably launch them a bit more than I need sometimes, but I think with a fairway wood, having that added comfort is nice. I do have TaylorMade's Golf Pride Z grip on here, but again, undersized. Probably my favourite head cover from Turnberry. It's the Lighthouse. I think it's really pretty. Okay, last up, we've got driver, and we are back to ping. So I've got the G440 Max because I want maximum forgiveness, and obviously this is the model that's going to give me that. Again, this performed really well in testing for me. It was very forgiving, but also gave me really good distance, which I was really impressed with. This is a 9-degree head. I have it set at neutral. I have the weight in the back set at neutral. And then we have ping shaft in here. So this is the Torchrome 2.0 in a 65 stiff. For me, this is probably the most consistent driver I've had in a long time. Driver is probably the area where I try to work on it the most, or it's probably the biggest area I can improve. Like, I'm pretty good in terms of distance, but I can be a little inconsistent sometimes in terms of direction. So having the extra forgiveness in here has really helped me out this year. I'm still not perfect, but it's getting better. I feel like this shaft just really matches my kind of swing tempo well, like, especially when I'm on form with this, it's just unbelievable. So the nice thing about being in England this week and playing a pro event in England is I could bring my trolley. So this is my Powakaddy CT12 GPS, and it's honestly one of my favourite bits of kit. I think sometimes people think maybe trolleys aren't that interesting, but the tech in this is incredible. So it's a CT model, which means it's a compact model, so it folds down really small, which is really good when I'm travelling around and also for sharing, because there's a few of us down here sharing together this week, so it means we can fit loads of stuff in the cars. But the big tech here is the GPS screen. It's absolutely massive, and it was literally the size of my phone. And what's amazing about this is it shows the full hole. It's fully, completely interactive. So it's basically like an interactive course planner. I can click on any part on the golf course and get distances to it. I can zoom in and get the green, all hazards, and honestly I find this so helpful for my course strategy, especially this week because the practice rounds were very windy and the wind was very different to today. So especially on holes like par 5s, we had really different layup situations, and it was so easy to just zoom in and see what I needed to avoid or where I needed to be playing to. There's also some par 4s where it's split fairways, so you can either choose if you're going right or left, and the pin positions were really different today, so we actually ended up going up different fairways, and it helped me make sure I had the right club off the tee. So I can't tell you how much I use this, and especially when I'm moving around to different golf courses, it's so nice to know I just have the data I need, and it's really big and easy to see because it's obviously on my trolley handle, and honestly this just saves me shots every round, like hands down. Okay, so that's all my physical hardware. I've also got a lot of tech and accessories in the bag, so let's run through that. First up, we've got my shot scope watch. So I love this because I use it out on the golf course and tournaments specifically to generate my statistics. So it can take a really long time after your round to manually do statistics, and I don't have to do that at all with shot scope. Every time I hit a shot, there's tags in the bottom of my clubs, so you might have noticed these when I pull them out, and it links to my watch and tells ShotScope where I've hit each shot from on the golf course. It's plotted onto a map, and then it works out like how far each shot's gone, if I've hit the fairway, if I've hit the green, if I was in the bunker, works out all my kind of strokes gained, so I can see which bits of my game I need to work on. I just really like that because I feel like it takes the thinking out of it and saves me a lot of time. There's two main watches that ShotScope have for that shot tracking, which is where your statistics are generated out on the golf course. I'm currently wearing the V5. This has 4 buttons. It's not touchscreen, it's all buttons to control it. I like that because I find it simple, and if it's bad weather conditions, I don't always want to be moving around with a touchscreen. So when I'm out on the golf course, all I have to do for ShotScope to generate my stats is press a button when I pick the ball out of the hole to tell it where the pin is, and then it can work out where all my other shots were relative to the flag and generate my statistics. It's really quick, easy, simple. I love the fact like on my wrist I have front, middle and back distance all the time. So yes, I will shoot the pin, but really I'm looking for a club that's like going to get over the front of the green and not go over the back of the green. So it's really handy to just have that next to me at all times. There is also full hole maps on here, so you can see the full shape of the hole and move like a yardage up and down to see if you're going to reach different hazards. So I do also have the X5 in here. That is the touchscreen model, and I do use that some of the time. And then I also have the new G6 in here. This is not shot tracking, this is just GPS if you just wanted a GPS watch. I tend to just use this if I'm out playing, not in a competition, I don't need to generate stats, or maybe I'm playing 9 holes, because again that gives me all the full hole view, front, middle, back distances, but I don't have to do the shot tracking on this. It's just a little bit simpler. I also have quite a few funky different coloured straps for this, which is nice because I can match it to my outfit, and I do like a bit of colour coordination. You can't tell from the nails and the outfit today. You might have noticed I've got 2 lasers, which is probably overkill, but ShotScope just sent me their new Pro L5, which is really nice. It has new OLED screen optics, which means it's just a little bit clearer for some people. It's in red rather than black. I think especially maybe if you're someone who wears glasses, it's a lot sharper focus on the background. Personally, I do use my Pro X a little bit more just because it's got my name on it and I love it. So both of these have slope functions built in, which is really handy because when we're playing practice rounds here and professional events, you're allowed to turn the slope function on. So you just slide it on the top and it goes green, and that will give you slopes from different places, and I'll then write that into my course planner, because then when we're actually in tournament conditions we can't use that. So it's good to just make notes of it from different places out on the golf course, especially on par 3s or if there's big elevation changes. Other things down here, very nice Titleist cleaning brush on a string, which is very handy because I lose these all the time otherwise. And also I just got these new John Doe sunglasses, which are really cool because I'm constantly squinting out on the golf course because I don't really wear a hat because it casts a massive shade on my face for YouTube. But I feel like a lot of sunglasses change the way stuff looks. These have special lenses in them, so everything looks really good. It looks like the same colour, it's still really bright, but it removes that glare in your eyes, so it's a lot nicer to look at the golf course in. Also a little bit of pink on here, so we know I'm all going to love that. And we have special grips on the side, so you can actually use this for running, maybe playing tennis, and they stay on, which is really helpful. And I think they're a lot trendier, like they don't look like actual sporty sunglasses, which for me I prefer because I can use them on and off the golf course, so really nice. I think they're actually going to give me a discount code, so if anyone's interested in a pair of these, I'll put the link so you can find more information and also the discount code in the description for this video. Then here I've also got my iRange Sports monopod. So this is just a magnetic tripod. It sticks into the ground. I can pop my phone straight onto it, so if I want to do swing videos, or a lot of the down the lines from my vlogs are filmed on this, so that's used a lot. Okay, golf balls, quite an important one. I've also got my course planner in here in a little sub 70 case, which is very nice. I've been using Titleist Pro V1s this week. I probably move between them and TP5Xs. I feel like both of those perform really well for my game, but I do like to draw my cross on the ball when I'm playing tournaments. I use the short line to point at the target line where I'm aiming. I feel like because it's shorter, it doesn't get the curvature of the ball too much, so it always looks straight when I'm above it. And then I have the long line to match the front edge of my face to it, because obviously there's no dots on my putter, so I want a reference for square there. Usually always have 3 little dots on each side of the ball. It was obviously in pink today because we're wearing pink. We're wearing blue tomorrow. I do really like the Pixas as well though from TaylorMade, because I just like having something funky and a little bit different. But I'm pretty low stock on those at the moment. It's also a 1 ball rule this week in the tournament, so a lot of professional events bring in a 1 ball rule, which means once you tee off you have to use the same type of ball throughout the entire tournament. And that's just because you could get a case where maybe it's downwind and someone moves to a spinnier ball and then it's into the wind and they move to a ball that spins less, so There's a few rules like that people bring in for professional tournaments. So I had 24 Pro V1s. I thought, there's no way I'm going to lose 24, so they're in play this week. Unglamorous but necessary things to have in the bag this week would be wet rain gloves. These are unbelievable when it's raining at improving your grip. So definitely always worth having a pair of them in the bag. And also obviously my waterproofs. So I work with Ping Apparel, so I use their waterproofs, and I love the one this year because it's got a hood in it. And it was used a lot in the practice rounds this week because it absolutely poured it down. So that kept me really nice and dry, which I definitely appreciated. And I also use Ping gloves, and I really like the softness of these. Last few things we've got on the bag, obviously towels. They were definitely needed the last few days. I have two different types, so these are both from Bombs Away Golf, and obviously this is pink because it's me. So this is more of like a microfiber, like fine, which I use for like really fine cleaning, and then this one's a lot thicker, which is just good if it's really muddy or really wet to keep things dry. So I like to have two different ones of them just for different things. Obviously my Powakaddy umbrella as well, which has also got a lot of action this week. I'm not gonna lie, I'd like to say there's loads of tech in here, but this pocket is literally just absolutely rammed full of snacks. So I like to try and keep healthy out on the golf course. So today we had bananas, apples. I've also got some cereal bars in here, and then some Jaffa cakes. So what I like to do is in like the first 2/3 of my round, make sure I'm having something that has a lot of fiber in it or a lot of fats, so it's not something that's going to like spike my blood sugar. I want to try and stay quite consistent. And then in the last few holes where it's getting near the end and I might be tired and I want kind of a quick burst of energy, that's when I'll move on to like my Jaffa cakes or something. I also have some Baby Bells bits of cheese. They're just like good little bits of energy out on the golf course, but again, pretty much just fat based, so they're not going to like spike my blood sugar too much, get me too excited. But one other thing I do have in here that's really helpful is a digital level. So I use this when I'm warming up on the putting green to practice because I use aim point, and it just allows me to check if I think that's a 2% slope with my feet and then double check on the monitor if it actually is. Also, when you use an aim point, if the green speeds differ week to week, you can have to put your arm in different positions, so you can just test that out on the course. So I thought, this is a 2, this says it's a 2, put my T-peg in. If I then miss the putt and I've hit a good putt, it means I need to adjust my arm for the week relative to the green speed. I can't tell you how much aim point has improved my putting. So I didn't use it in the Rose Series events at the start of the year, and I really struggled on the greens, and a lot of it was just indecisiveness. And I think where it's helped me the most is on short putts, because actually if you're 6 foot in, even if it's a 1% slope or less, you're always aiming inside the hole, and I think that's made me a lot more accurate on those short putts and just feel a lot more confident on them. I've definitely holed loads more in the last couple of months since I've been doing aim point than I did before. I feel like it's made it a lot easier to figure out when a putt is actually flat. Sometimes you always want to see some sort of break and there isn't, so very helpful piece of kit there. And then the last tech we've got is my new launch monitor, which I'm really excited about. So I've actually just partnered with Full Swing, which I'm really excited about. I've used their kit in the past and loved it, and this means now I'm going to be using this for all my reviews and also my practice. And I really like this because they have some really good performance games that I think are going to help me hone in my game. Now, one of the big reasons I really like this is it's a launch monitor that sits down the line, so you put it behind you when you're hitting shots, so it's really easy to set it up to see where the target is, which I think is very important for when you're working on kind of swing path or swing mechanics, especially when you're working relative to a specific target. So if you're doing like target games, a lot of this does like strokes games, so it can give you a score based on how good your shot is relative to where the target is. I also love the fact there's a screen built into this, so you don't always have to use it with like an iPad or an iPhone. You can get the numbers directly onto the screen, and you can actually choose between different settings. You can either have 4 data points or just 1. So if you're working on one specific thing, like 50-yard shots, or you really want to work on your swing path, you can just have that one piece of data up rather than like maybe 20 on an iPad and not get distracted by the other stuff, and literally just work on one thing. So really excited about this partnership. There's going to be a lot more of this on the channel moving forwards. Now I think that's everything in and around my golf bag. The last bit would be, I guess, what I'm wearing. So I wear Ping Apparel. I absolutely love their kit, love the freedom of movement, love the comfort, especially love when it's bright pink. You can obviously tell by a lot of my stuff today. And then I'm also wearing Echo golf shoes. So these are the Echo Streets, which also have a touch of pink, which is very nice. I really like these because I don't normally like spikeless golf shoes. I feel like I have to have spikes because I move around a lot, but these have an amazing outsole. They're really grippy and I feel really comfortable with them out on the golf course. They also give me a little bit of extra height, which is nice. In fact, they're also the kind of style where they look really like trainers, so you can wear them on and off the golf course. Okay, that's all my kit, tech and clubs that I use on the golf course and to kind of prep my game for competition. If there's anything you think I've missed or any questions you have, just drop them in the comments and I'll get back to you.